Welcome back. You are still watching Nedbank Business Watch. On the program today, with Nedbank, we are discussing fraud awareness. And to break it down for us, I'm joined by Smiso Kwebu, who is the Enterprise Risk Manager at Nedbank. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Kwebu. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks, Natsila. How are you?
I'm great. So we'll get to it. Fraud, it's often a common term or headlining term. We hear people or read of, incidences whereby people have been arrested for fraud of this much amount of money. Can you perhaps just give us a definition? What is fraud and why is it really so important for clients or just the general person to understand this?
In simple language, Natsila, I will say fraud comprises of three elements. There has to be an intention, and there has to be a wrongful act or criminal act, and then there has to be a financial gain or a financial loss in one party. So if combined, we will just say fraud is a wrongful or a criminal act that will result in a financial gain from one party and a financial loss from the other party. That is as simple as you can explain it. So from a layman perspective, when we look into fraud, we define it in three aspects, where there is pressure, there is rationale, and also there is what we call an opportunity. That is what the fraudsters do. So when we look at opportunity, we are saying a fraudster in a system, let's take for instance in a banking system, he will look at opportunities as to how he can defeat or how he can break through the systems or the processes that have been put in place to deter fraudsters. So he saw an opportunity, perhaps it's weaknesses in controls, and he takes an opportunity towards that, or there is an incentive that drives the fraudster to say, I am incentivized to act in this way because I want to prove, especially for cyber criminals, I want to prove that they can hack through a system. So they want to prove they've got that incentive that drives them. Or someone could be under a certain pressure that he is facing, whether be it at home, be it at work. If that person feels like there is a certain pressure that he needs to address, then he will find the opportunity to commit fraud. Usually these things are based in a person's lifestyle or choices or spending patterns, or the person is heavily under debt. So they find that's the things that's the motives that drives them to look into opportunities to incentivize themselves or to find pressure in that.
Right. You've just touched on the fraud triangle. So the month of October was actually the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, where also as a broadcaster, we decided that, or came to the conclusion that actually the conversations need to go beyond the month of October, which is actually why I'm glad we're here today. Perhaps you can talk to us about why fraud awareness is such, a priority for specifically Nedbank.
Fraud is not just a priority for Nedbank, Natsila. Actually, the month of November, it's International Fraud Awareness Month. Okay. So as we are going to the next week, from the 16th to the 22nd of November, it's what we call the International Fraud Awareness Week. So every country, every organization should be out there educating their stakeholders, raising awareness around fraud, raising awareness how can an individual or an entity safeguard its assets against fraudsters.
Now, let's talk about, the common types of fraud that as a bank you often see. Are these, regional, or are they international? Are they local? What goes on there?
With technology, Natsila, everything is advancing each and every day. Common trends that we have noticed, it's social engineering. In our context as a country, looking at the Fakata scams, they use a social engineering technique which is called vishing, that is voice technology, where they will call you either pretend that you have received money or pretend to be the common one that you are supposed to receive money from the DPM's office, or there's a job opportunity, you need to put in money so that you can secure that job opportunity. So that is the most common one that of late we have seen a rise in the country, the Fakata scams, and fortunately we're working with law enforcement agencies. We have seen a sort of a decline, but we cannot actually rule a rise again, because like I said, these criminals are advancing in terms of technology. You release an app today, they master how it works, they find an opportunity how they can manipulate it or manipulate their victims in them giving them money. We have also seen account takeover scams actually happening, whereby people will use fraudulent identities in taking over an account of someone, pretending to be someone else whom they are not. And we have seen that. And also fraudulent proof of payments. In the last quarter, towards the end of the year, we have seen a rise in fraudulent proof of payments, whereby you go to a shop, you want to acquire certain services or goods, they render you that service, you provide them with a fake proof of payment so that they can give you the goods or provide you with that service that you were looking for. We have seen a rise in bank statement frauds, whereby people, they manipulate bank statements to apply for credit facilities or whatever facility they want to apply for from other entities. They will take a Nedbank statement, go to another institution to prove that they have got funds so that they can secure a loan, or they go to their suppliers to say, open an account for me on credit. I have got backing from my bank that I do have funds in my account. We have also seen invoice fraud, whereby they will produce a fraudulent invoice in order for you to pay up a certain amount if you wanted a certain service. They invoice you. In the invoice, you find that they did not use that entity's bank accounts. They're using their own accounts. When you pay, you will assume that you are paying to that entity that had invoiced you, but when in actual fact, the fraudsters have used their own banking details there, and the money gets diverted in that way. Also, investment scams, we have seen of late that they target especially pensioners, where they know that this person is going to receive a huge sum of money at a certain period in time. Then they lure him into investing into that investment scam, and you find that person being enticed by the return that he or she will get. Then he will be paying that amount, only to find that the investment was never there. So looking into these trends, I would not say it's local. It's all over. Regional, international. We have seen that even in other countries. Fortunately, in Swaziland, if you look at our economy, it then worries. But in other countries, when you look, the global fraud report that was released last year, 2024, where they were talking about over 33 billion in dollars that was lost through fraud, if we combine those regional and national numbers. So it's a concern.
Right.
Yeah.
So a majority of people are, one way or the other, seeking some form of economic upliftment. Right, and so when fraudsters see opportunity here, individuals can be quite unsuspecting. So what are some of the red flags that, clients should watch out for to avoid perhaps falling victim to fraud?
One of the things that the fraudsters, they use is creating a certain pressure on you to act on their instruction. It's like their instruction is time-barred. You need to act fast because they do not want you to have that leeway to come back to your senses and think about what action you are going to take. So they sort of pressure you to act fast. And because if you look at the unemployment rate in the country, and you look at the daily living expense that most of our population is living under poverty. So if you get an opportunity to say you can make quick money here, you will actually take it. And at that moment in time, that is what the fraudsters, they will use, that pressure or that vulnerability you are at that moment, and they use that. Because I will make an example, Notsile, when the Fakata scams, what they do, they will come to you and say, we have erroneously sent 5,000 Malanga to your account. At that moment, and they will tell you that you do not need to send back the whole 5,000. You can send back 4,500 and keep the 500 as a gesture of goodwill. So in that way, you will be, in a way, be appreciative that the other person is considerate of your needs. At that moment, they take advantage of your vulnerability. So what will happen next? You will find that you didn't even receive those funds. Then they'll start asking you, do you have money in your Momo account? Do you have money in your Mobi wallet? And the moment you say yes, they will say, okay, please send whatever you have at the moment whilst you sort with your bank that you send back the remaining balance. By the time you realize that the SMS that he had sent to you was actually a fake SMS, money will be out of your account. In that way, chances of recovery, they become slim. But with advancement in technology, we are now in a way to say if you are able to report within a certain time period, they are high chances of you recovering that money. But what we have noticed, Notil, is that most customers, once they are scammed, they shy away from reporting because they fear being embarrassed that they fell victim of this. So by the time the person goes to report to the police, you find that it is already too late. The chances of recovery by the time are very, very slim because of the period the person took to report, because he feared being embarrassed that he or she fell victim of the scammers.
Right. Before we get to how people can report, what are some of the measures that are in place by the bank or that can actually, be taken upon by individuals to reduce opportunity for internal or perhaps external fraud? Cases such as your KYC, how effective are these in ensuring that we prevent fraud?
I think for us as a bank, Notsila, one of the things that what we have touched on, the issue of KYC, which is know your customers, that we frequently expect customers to update frequently as per their profiling within the bank. So that helps us to understand the customer, because when we do the analysis, we will understand your spending patterns, we will understand how you receive money, so that whenever, if there are any things that we pick when we are monitoring that are out of the ordinary, then we engage you to say, we are picking up these trends on your account, but this is not what you had registered for when you opened the account. And also we do have our secured banking channels, both on online banking, and our app is secure. There is limited or absolutely no chance for anyone to hack into your bank account unless you yourself as a customer, you have compromised yourself.
Right.
Because that is where we see the trends coming from customers compromising themselves. Then when they come to report, they will say someone hacked into my banking account, whereas they had compromised themselves. Also, we do have a dedicated and committed team that supports customers from transactional banking up to the stage whereby if you have fallen victim of a fraud, then you can be able to use the internal team to report, and we do investigate. And also we do have our reporting channels whereby if you have been scammed, you can report. Also, utilization of our law enforcement agencies to report such cases, because we work closely with them.
Right. As we conclude, what's word of advice that you can perhaps give to clients to avoid scams such as fraudulent proof of payment, fraud, invoice fraud, or actually investment scams, as you touched on earlier?
I think for me, the key of it all, Notsile, it's vigilance.
Yes.
We need to exercise vigilance. We need not to be taken by surprise if a scammer will call you to say we have received 5,000. just politely say to the person, let me confirm through my bank. The moment you say you want to confirm through the bank, the moment, because they have got their own script they work on. The moment you say I want to confirm with my bank, it's not part of their script. At that moment, then they will just drop the call on you. You are safe. And the other way we say for customers, if you receive the call, don't rush to take any action. Take your moment, take your time to reflect on what is being said. Think about it if it's actually the truth or not. Through what you need to verify first the message. Is the message authentic? If you do not have verification tools, engage your bank. Engage your banker to say, I have received an SMS purporting that I have received 5,000 Emalangan. Please confirm in my account if indeed I have received so much funds. Proof of payments, we say if you receive a proof of payment as an entity, before you release the goods or before you provide the service, get your bank to confirm that indeed the proof of payment is authentic. If you receive a statement, use your banker to confirm if the statement is authentic, because you don't want to fall victim. All said, not silly. One thing is real. Scammers are out there and they're out there to make money. What does it cause for a Maswati? A Maswati needs to be vigilant in these times.
Right. Good. Thank you very much for that very informative discussion we just had. In the days of modern banking, be vigilant. That was Simiso Kwebu, who is the Enterprise Risk Manager at Nedbank. We were discussing fraud awareness this afternoon. Stick around. The show continues right after this.